Hi, good afternoon. Thank you all for coming out today. Welcome to NOW's Unlock the Future Houston rally. Please remember to sign the Bill of Rights that's being passed around with our volunteers. I'm Andrea Fernandez, and I'm the National Organization for Women Austin Chair and a student activist. I have a very personal connection to our Unlock the Future mission, and I'd like to share my story. Mi nombre es Andrea Fernandez y soy de La Joya, Texas, in the Rio Grande Valley. My name is Andrea Fernandez, and I'm from the Rio Grande, Texas. I'm graduating this year from the University of Texas at Austin with a degree in communication and leadership, and I'm honored to be here presenting for the National Organization for Women. And thank you to everyone who's following our journey as the Austin Task Force. Let me tell you my story. I remember when I was 10 years old, I would walk next to my cousin Paola's house, and we would spend the days outside together in the sun and dream about what our lives as adults would be together. We dreamed until the sun went down and it was time for us to go home. We imagined a future where all of our neighbors were friends and we could all play outside together. A world where it didn't matter where you came from or what part of the neighborhood you lived in, because we valued love and compassion and empathy. We imagined a future where being a human was reason to be treated as such. However, today, that's not the future we're living in. Jacqueline K. Martin, Darlene Cristabel Cordova Valle, Felipe Gomez Alonso, Juan de Leon Gutierrez, and so many other children deserve better futures and better worlds. And they deserve a world and a future that they dreamed of family, of love, and to grow old. And these babies, they all died way too young and in the hands of the American government. Their dreams of futures were stolen, and they'll never be able to look back at the good old days, for their good old days were spent in cages. We must unlock the world and the future that Jacqueline, Darlene, Felipe, and Juan deserve to live in. We're all standing here today together because we have one thing in common, and that is that we all have hope. And I stand here today and I'll tell you my story. I stand here today as someone who was reminded that I'm a pearl in this vast ocean. And pearls take time to develop. They don't just happen overnight. But once they do, they're valuable and they're beautiful. I now live in Austin, Texas, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm graduating this year, 1 year early, in May. And my papa will not be able to see me walk the graduation stage. Pero te acostumbras a la vida sin la oportunidad de ver a tu familia, y lo haces por necesidad. My father said you get used to a life without your family and without being able to see them, but you do it out of necessity. And I guess I'm just not used to it yet. My father moved from Mexico City to Reynosa to build his career as an equine orthopedic surgeon. After a long day of working outside with big animals, my father's home was ransacked by the cartel. A place where you're supposed to feel safe and at home and welcome was ransacked. They wanted money, and my father refused to indebt his life to the illegal and horrendous acts of the cartel, so he ran away. He found another home, safe and away from the drug world, and they found him again. And he ran again, and they found him again. He ran 4 times until the last time they told him, next time you run, we will not just destroy your house, but we'll destroy you and your family. So he was forced to move to the United States. He had a family he needed to take care of, and a mother who today is 95 years young and turns 96 in February. And he could not do that and support her if he was being hunted by the cartel. His life in the United States was an American dream, and I remember he would come and visit me in elementary school, and he would always bring me those Werther's caramel candies that I shared with you today. And he would always remind me to share with my friends. He would say, Andrea, you always offer other people before you take for yourself. And everyone in the front office knew who my father was because he was the parent who would visit the most. And he never forgot to bring Werther's candies for the secretaries. He came to all of my school field trips, and I would look forward to being able to play air hockey with him at Peter Piper Pizza. He and I would go costume shopping every Halloween, and we spent days and days looking for a costume in the 4th grade until I finally found the one. We were both so happy, and my dad thought I looked so cool. And I can assure you that in the 4th grade, I was the only person there dressed as Hillary Clinton. And I rocked it. Thank you. Our life was the American dream until it was not. Our worst nightmare became our reality, and my father was no longer safe in his home again. But I'll stand here and I'll share a secret with you all. My father told me that he would wait for me to go to college before he was forced to move back to Mexico. He wanted to leave this country on his own terms, and he wanted to make the transition for me as easy as possible. He said I wouldn't feel it as much if I moved away for college, so I did, and he left, and it didn't make it any easier. I remember the last meal I had with my father here in the United States at our favorite restaurant. He and I would always order the same food, and he would ask the server, who was always his friend, to make mine a kid size. But this time was different because my stomach was already full with the weight of my heart, and I ate soup because I couldn't stomach a full meal. And I'll stand here today with you and I'll tell you the truth. I don't know what happened. I can't describe the feelings I would feel when my father would talk to me about his plans to leave the country and how unsafe he felt and how times had changed and things just weren't the same anymore. And I can't describe to you the feeling I felt when the day finally came. It was so surreal and the world fell apart for me. I didn't believe it. And sometimes I wake up and I still don't believe it. I forget. And I cannot imagine the pain and suffering children feel when they're ripped away from their families. I can't imagine how Jacqueline's family feels, how much hurt they know that their baby died because their home was no longer safe. And the country who was supposed to welcome the tired, poor, and huddled masses yearning to breathe free decided to build walls instead of doors. I knew what the day my father was leaving, and I understood why he had to leave. However, that's a luxury that I have that children and babies don't. They don't know why they feel unsafe. They don't know why they were taken away from their family, but they do know that life will never be the same. And I'll stand here today, and I'll ask you to take one step with me. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who is the person I look to each time I feel at my lowest, said, "Fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. Real change, enduring change, happens one step at a time, and we need to continue to take steps forward together." I thank each of you for taking a step with me and joining us today at this rally, because together we can unlock the future. In the past, people came to this country with light in their eyes because they knew they were going to live in a world where they would have opportunities they never even imagined. And I'll stand here today as an empowered human, and I will tell you, I believe that we should treat people the way we would treat our families, the way we would treat our own, the way we would treat our mothers. And I don't know a person here who would allow their family and their mother to sleep on a concrete floor with freezing temperatures, with no sanitary products, and nothing but an aluminum sheet. And I stand here today and I'll pour my heart out to you, and I'll be honest. I ask myself every day what went wrong and how we're gonna change this, and how we're gonna fix the damage that has been done. And I'll stand here and I'll be honest, and I don't have an answer for you. I can't say anything that'll heal the scars you have in your hearts, and I wish I could give everyone hugs to heal. But real people are hurt, and we need time to heal. Our hopes feel more like fantasies, and our dreams feel like they're being pushed further and further away from our reality. But I'll stand here today and I'll tell you that we have time. We have time to save our country. We're living in the past, and we have time to unlock the future. We need to mobilize, and we need to organize, and we need to realize that we have the power to change. We are the people who are going to change the world, and I tell my fellow organizers and my friends that we have the power to change the world, and I want to help revitalize our wave. We all have to remember that we're pearls. Pearls are made when a parasite gets inside of a clam or an oyster and begins to irritate it, and it begins to eat away at it. And inside the shell, layers and layers and layers form to heal itself until all those layers become a pearl. And we are all pearls, and we're all healing, and we're all developing. And I stand here today and I promise you I'll always be here to listen and to learn and to grow. And I promise you I'll be a voice alongside you when you feel voiceless and alone. And I'll promise to always remind everyone that we're beautiful and that we're pearls and we're developing, especially when you forget. Do y'all remember when we were little, everything meant so much to us? I believe children have the biggest hearts, and we care so much about feelings. And somewhere along the lines, we forgot all about all of that. Does anyone remember what a pinky promise is? Those promises that meant so much to us, they were sacred. And I want us all to think back and to remember that feeling and how seriously we took those promises. And I want everyone here to lift up your pinkies with me and promise yourself something. Promise yourself that you will fight to unlock the future and fight for your happiness. Promise yourself that you'll get involved in your community and remind everyone there how important they are, and that everyone is here to support each other. But most importantly, promise yourself that with each layer you build, that with each step forward that you take, you are taking one step closer to the future that we deserve to live in. You are taking one step and one layer into becoming a beautiful pearl in our vast ocean. And promise yourself that you will never forget that you are a pearl. Thank you.